Hello, everyone at home. We'll get started in just 1 second.
And some people are
So
unaware
folks
that
that are online, when we go into executive session, if people come in, just let them know that we're in executive session and that once we come out of it, we will start the regular meeting. Because okay. Well, so, huh?
No mayor.
No mayor for the entire night?
I just asked him to see if he's zooming in. Said the bubble right now. I'm gonna find out in a-
Should we wait?
Let's see what he bubbles.
Let's see what he bubbles.
So did everybody hear that, what I just said
No. Nope. Oh, okay.
online?
I heard you, Michael.
Okay, I really appreciate you doing that. So, because he's not showing up? Okay. Well, in that case, I am wildly unprepared. Let me grab my, do you have an agenda, please? Yeah, thank you. All right, so I will call this meeting to order. And I would like
Oh,
to,
hold on. I'll volunteer to take what necessary notes we need.
I will be turning off my phone shortly. So do we have a motion for findings?
So moved. Second.
And I apologize. I was really not prepared. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and oppose? And entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Someone second.
All right, and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will go into executive session in 2 to 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Erica, for doing that. You've been tasked to do it. I hope you don't mind.
I don't.
Erica knows the drill.
Hi, to whoever has joined. They are executive session right now, so nobody is talking. Hi, Alice's iPhone. They're in executive session right now, so nobody is talking. Hi, whoever joined. The people are in executive session right now, so no, that's why no one is talking. Hi, Bern. You people are in executive session right now. That is why no one is talking. I see that somebody joined us. We are not talking because people are in executive session right now. That's why we're not talking. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Hello, council is in a executive session. That's why nobody's talking. If you wait a minute, they'll be back about 7 o'clock. Thank you so much. Hi, council is currently in executive session. That's why they're not talking right now. They'll be back about 7 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Is this a breakout room?
The council is currently in a breakout room, yes.
Oh, they're in the breakout room and we're just sitting here. Thank you, Erica.
No problem, Ellen.
Tuned in.
Hi, Connie. Thank you for joining us. Currently, council is in executive session. They'll be back about 7 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Mics are low.
Oh.
All right. So a motion to
Yes.
come out of executive session?
So moved.
Discussion?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're out of executive session and I'd say we will recess for 4 minutes.
For 4 minutes. 14.
14.
Do we want to do 14? Because I think the agenda didn't say 7,
Oh,
but
you're
we
right.
can,
No,
we
you're
can
right.
recess for 14
No, no,
minutes.
let's,
Yeah,
Most people, folks are used to 7.
Yeah, 14
Okay.
Why don't we
minutes.
just
14
start at
minutes it
7?
is.
That's what most people are used to.
All right.
Oh, this color would never pass muster in my house. Holy.
Michael, you got an
No.
No, I am not actually. Not.
exercises I learned from
A little bit, a little bit.
I just want to say I was
Love
awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can you
sorry,
say that
yeah.
again,
Yes, she
Erica?
does.
I was amazing with my PSA. I just want to say.
Ladders.
Oh, thank you.
shield.
Yes.
she said, I'm
Appreciate it.
I
still
did not.
drawing.
All right, it's 7.
All right. So I will call this meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, acting mayor, deputy mayor, however we'd like to do this. I'd like to pull off the item that was under the mayor's name he had the appointment, the local funding policy on
Yes.
there under his name.
Sounds like a great idea.
I don't know. I am not him, so I don't know what he was going to do.
That's a
with that.
very good point. Although I think there is a topic of conversation. Did Clerk Dawes want to talk about it or no?
Nope.
All right, so we will pull that off.
Wow.
And then the other thing is, if council is comfortable, I would not mind delaying the downstreet vote until we have a full board. If there would be consent, unanimous consent to pull that off the agenda for tonight and take that up next week when we have a full body.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make a motion to table when we get there. I mean, I do have some questions, and I'm glad I was actually going to suggest the same thing. Because it's not something, without my questions being answered, it's just not something I'd be in a position to support this evening. So I was kind of hoping it wouldn't come to a vote, because I could see a tie kind of brewing, which could put us in a procedural problem.
So
So if you want to do that, and then we'll offer a motion to table, and I'll let yeah.
Well, first, is there any reason just not to just bump it 1 week rather than going through that?
Yeah, either or.
I would say just bump it to next week rather than
But
save
Well,
it.
I'd say they are here,
To
so,
address that issue.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
think
that's-
We should have a discussion.
Yeah.
at least.
Okay, so yep.
So I'd like to leave it on,
Okay.
if we could.
yep,
And then
okay.
we'll Table.
Anything else? All right, with that, we'll move on to visitors and communications. Anyone here to address the council? That's not on the agenda.
Hi,
Good evening.
so I'm Jesse. Live up on Merchant Street, resident here in town. And so I'm coming to talk to you guys again. I've been in touch with you guys before about the bus issue and the way that it's been lowered, or the service has been cut a couple of times in the past year or two. And we had a discussion about 6 months ago, and much like we thought, sorry, I was going to set a timer, so I'll go over. Let me go ahead and do that. Apologize. So, and so exactly where we were 6 months ago, we're still right there. We said we haven't changed a thing about the bus service still. I've been in touch with GMTA staff, like one of the supervisors and the lady that mans the thing over in Montpelier. I've spoken with drivers, I've spoken with people at the bus stops. And basically, they give the same line, like we're short on staff and all this stuff, short on resources. Okay, but there's another story moving here, which is that the GMTA bus is also, while being too short to service the city with the city commuter bus, they're also chasing business, this Medicaid business, which is a good like private sector competitor would be like Uber Medical, or the Lyft has a service. All car services has a service where they'll give you a ride for a medical appointment. They'll bill your Medicaid card, and it's a good piece of business, and so there is the My Ride GMTA is like, that's what that's about. It's like they're trying to get more of these Medicaid rides to raise fund. They're basically chasing business while not having the resources to cover the business they already have, is what it seems to me. Also, I work in Stowe. I see the ski resort business, which they also take care of. Bus every 20 minutes up and down the road to the hotels, to the Stowe Mountain Resort, the Med River bus. So there seems to be a lot of, it really has been kind of like, seems to be a lot of picking and choosing where the resources go. And it's just definitely leaving the city very shortchanged on bus service, basically. And so that's where we're at right now with that thing. I work with folks in town through fellowship, where people that need a friend, we try and be one. And sometimes we talk to them and say, hey man, let's try to get some momentum building in the right direction. Let's get a little job or something. But transportation is definitely like a big problem for folks in town. In my lifetime, I'd be able to go out and get a beater car for $400 or $500. I definitely owned a couple of those, and it would get me down the road. Them days are past. I just recently purchased a set of snow tires for almost $1,000 for my truck. The 1999 oil changes are a thing of the past. We're up to $50, $60. Everything about transportation has grown. So this would be like a time where you want your public transportation to hold up well. And what's happening right now is public transportation is really failing the community in a big way. And so, I call it, and I don't mean anything offensive by this, but, Barry City Council nice. Like, I think that we need to move to a different thing where we really deliver a message, maybe a letter to the board of the bus company, maybe a letter that also carbon copies our congressional deliberation and our state representatives, because those are both two parties that hold purse strings as well as the city. But and just make a very clear message like, hey, we expect you guys to get this back to what you said you were going to do in the first place and get this done. We need to expedite this process. It just, the people that are depending on the bus service to get back and forth to work, the way it's written now, are basically in crisis. This bus service has gotten down to so bad that it really has become a homeless person's shuttle. You really have to have that level of stuff going on in your life to be able to wait the hour for the bus. And, you know what I'm saying? That's the only people that are using the bus anymore. It's gotten to that level. It used to be more of a vibrant thing where the first bus out of Barry goes to Montpelier, leaves Barry at 6, gets to Montpelier at 6:30. From that point, you could be a UVM student, you get to class. You could be a Norwood student, get out there. You could get out Route 2 and get to Goddard or wherever's going on out there. You could be a state office worker at the Waterbury Complex, get out there. You could go to Stowe from that transfer. It'd be a 2-bus transfer, but you could definitely do it. Right now, most of that is not available if you're leaving Barry, because you're leaving Barry at 6:30. You're not getting there until 7. And it's a bus every hour, which is pretty bad bus service. So folks could use you guys as support, and I just wanted to give a little update on where we're at with it. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse, you got just a sec? So the Uber Medical, is that something that's new, like to Barry? Is that available here? Because I always joke
Yeah.
around that, Miranda installed an Uber app for me,
Sure.
and I'll use it in Washington, I'll use it in New York, I'll use it in Newark. And then I get to Vermont and I want to see those little cars. And it's like, they're nowhere.
There's not a lot of Uber. There's some Uber in the more touristy towns, Mad River,
Yeah.
and also Stowe and Burlington, of course, as well. And I think that we do have some Uber, but I think that gig economy hasn't quite taken hold as much
Mhm.
here in Vermont. But when I was trying to understand the business model of Medicaid rides, when I looked into the Uber Medical, you go on the website of a traded company, you can see where that's where they're expecting, they have a lot of stuff on there about how their hopes for growth for the company through like these medical rides and stuff like that.
And is the rides program new?
And
Because you
so-
mentioned that your concern, if I understood you correctly, your concern was that some of these other programs which are Medicaid billed, one of them being the rides program, which is run by the same company running public transit,
Yeah.
that they're shifting resources, if I understood you correctly.
that's correct.
So is that new, or
So
is that?
It's not quite new. It just kind of has really expanded in the last couple of years. And basically, originally it was just a Suboxone bus, right? And so that's probably a good thing for the community, to make sure that people that need that daily treatment get up there or whatever. And so that was like the main thing that was, that they were able to offer that service and help bill insurance and stuff to cover the cost of that service. What that has expanded to with COVID money, with a lot of stuff, they say, boy, we can charge the Medicaid for to go get your vaccination shots or this and that. And that has really expanded this whole rides, this bill your insurance for medical rides. And also it was chasing COVID. And so all of those things are kind of going on, and it's definitely like expanded how much focus is on that. And so, and in my mind, I feel like there's a direct correlation between there's not enough resources to run the CTE bus.
Right.
So I think that this should probably be a conversation.
Yeah, what I'm actually going to
Yeah.
suggest, Mayor, call you Mayor for the
Think
evening.
of a-
What I'm
Yes.
actually going to
Yeah.
suggest is that we had their operations director in. I remember specifically looking at him and saying, so you have staffing shortages, I understand that, but I just want to make sure that I've heard you correctly. As you get on the other side of those staffing shortages, it is your goal to fully restore bus service to Barre and to Central Vermont, and he answered affirmatively. So, and I don't doubt for a minute that he wasn't being sincere. So what I'm going to suggest, Mayor, is that rather than do it in the context of a council meeting where we got all this stuff at 7 o'clock at night, maybe, and then you could grab some of your friends who, and associates who depend on the service, and maybe we could do something at the mill room where we could just have this exchange so that they could see the folks whose lives it's impacting.
Sure. I mean, they should know, but yeah, I mean, it's, whatever we do, we should have a discussion. But but we've been down that road respectfully, I'm just saying, we've been down that road once before, and we got to, hey, there's nothing we can do here. It's kind of like our hands are tied. And my hope is that we can escalate to one level further, like, hey, look, you're in charge of running the bus service. Let's run the bus service, and get other voices involved besides the city council and Barre, but also the congressional deliberation. There's a lot of federal dollars there that and also state dollars and whatever. Just get everybody involved. And if there is like a legitimate, like, hey, our hands are really tied, like there's no CDL drivers here or whatever, that's one thing. And I guess it'll just play out the way it plays out. I mean, there's other bus services successfully running. But on the other hand, as well as oil companies and other people depend on those kind of staffing. But also, if it is like, hey, I'm diverting resources over here and feeling like I can just let this service slide, I feel like that pressure will help getting them refocused. Hey, these guys really want the bus service back and need something.
Yep.
And so I think that would help.
Well, I think if you're okay with it, I think maybe we could do both. I mean, I'd certainly be prepared to, the leading statement would be, look, we're 3 months down the road, and it doesn't seem like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that you haven't hired anybody in 3 months?
Right. Yeah.
And, so, you can start it there with a respectful conversation, but I fully support, there are folks who depend, especially in the winter months, they really depend on the bus service to try to get to work or the hospital or a medical appointment. So I'm fully supportive of what you're trying to do. I'd just like to have that dialogue with them first and invite you to, and anyone else who wants to join in, invite them to join in. And with that, I'm set, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Erica Rail?
Yeah, just for a little background, Medicaid rides go back way before COVID. They are for folks that have doctor's appointments that are on Medicaid. They go way, way back. And they are billed for folks that are on Medicaid, Medicare. But they're not just for folks that are going for Suboxone. So just for clarification, they are for legitimate doctor's appointments, just for some clarification there.
Thank you. All right, any other visitors and communications? All right.
All right, good evening, council members and everyone present. My name is Sean Trader.
Can I have you speak into the microphone? Sorry.
Excuse me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Trader, and I am the co-CEO of the Rainbow Bridge Community Center, located right here at 81 North Main Street in Barre. With me is Stephanie Otten, our Chief Operating Officer. We come to you as representatives of other local nonprofits have done to petition the board, the council, Move to place the center's funding request onto the town meeting ballot. Our financial statements and testimony have been provided to the council for the record. Hope that you have those. We have failed to submit the required materials prior to the deadline, and now we ask humbly that you give the citizens of Barry an opportunity to support their local LGBTQ+ community center. I come to you as one of the center's leaders, as a member of the LGBTQ+ community, and as a Ward 3 voter, a position which has put me into direct contact with residents in dire need of the services we offer, which include but are not limited to pro bono mental health counseling and the services we plan to offer in the near future, assuming financial sustainability. The goal of the RBCC is to make Barry a city where any LGBTQ+ person can feel safe and supported. Our flag means all are welcome here, and indeed, we have already been approached by a family that moved here from out of state and cited the presence of the center as a reason for settling in Barry. We are only just beginning. We are focused on creating opportunities for civic engagement and inclusion while developing a social infrastructure current and future residents of our city can thrive on for years to come. As the only LGBTQ+ community center in Barry, our absence would be sorely missed. A motion to place our funding request on the town meeting ballot is a commitment to the citizens of Barry and a signal to the world that anyone can call Barry home. On behalf of the center and all those we serve, I thank you for your time and your consideration.
All right. Questions? Sure.
Oh, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
A couple of questions. So the first one is in the letter from Greg. He says the funding we are requesting is a bridge funding one time, then a substantially lower, underlined, lower budget request going forward. Do you know what that amount would be going forward?
$3,000 was a number that we had hoped, on an ongoing basis.
Because the reason I ask is because the way this works is that once you're on the ballot for an amount, you do not have to go through this whole process again to get on the ballot again if you're asking for that amount or lower. So in theory, putting y'all on the ballot could empower you to ask for as much as $25,000 again next year. And that's when I start thinking, well, like, okay, now that's 50,000, then so on and so on. So I just wanted to, so I appreciate that.
Yes, we were aware of that, and we are committed to that.
And then the other question I have is just on the breakdown that was provided. It says the base operations budget yearly to keep the doors open is exactly $25,000. So is it, frankly, is it your position that without this $25,000, the center would close?
We're at that point, right? Exactly, which is why we're here.
Okay, and I understand. It's hard because I think that Greg would have a better answer to my next question. Maybe not. I shouldn't assume that. What other? I understand in the letter the inconvenient timing with how grant funding works and all. What other private fundraising goes on? Like what other, besides city funds, what other private fundraising funds
Absolutely
have gone into the center over the past year and going into next?
Yes, we have reached out to more than a dozen corporate potential community partners, some local, some national. I mean, National Life comes to mind, but also all kinds of things, Coca-Cola, nationwide companies, international companies, etc. But many of those requests have been denied due to the novelty of the center and not having the prior financial statements to show what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, it's been tough for that reason. A lot of people cited our lack of prior financial statements as the reason for the denial in the grant dispensation. Which of course we hope to remedy by staying open at least 1 year and doing our audits and providing all the materials needed to do that.
Right. Any other questions? Councilor Deering? Sorry.
So, the question was asked about raising funds outside of this 25,000. What types of things have you guys already done to raise funds for the current program? And how much, if possible, you could tell me?
We do have a small amount of private citizen donors that have donated basically in the beginning when the center opened in order to finance that. The other co-CEO, Greg Forbes, has taken a lot out of his own pocket. And there are, as far as an exact number goes, I can't provide that for you, I'm sorry. But we do have our balances on there, so you can see what's in our bank account basically. And in addition to seeking funding, we have had events in the community, and we do raise money through those events, but the amount has not been enough to provide us sustainably.
You'll give me a ballpark figure on what an event would raise?
It depends on the event. Our major event raised a few $1,000s, but our smaller events raise a few $100s, after expenses and everything like that. It's enough to fuel our event budget, but it's not enough to sustainably fuel our operational budget, much less our desired budget, which would include paying for people to work at the center. As you may know, everyone who works there, including the directors, are volunteer.
I just had one more.
Okay.
So you guys are requesting $25,000 to be put on the ballot, but the total cost of the budget for the fiscal year would be $230,000. And you just said that it would be it's already been very difficult to raise the funding. So I ask, how are you going to bridge the gap of $25,000 to $230,000 to stay open for more than maybe even a couple of months?
Yes. So as I just mentioned, the desired budget is what you're talking about, the 200,000+, and that includes paying people to work there, like directors and other staff, which would obviously increase the amount of services we're allowed to offer the citizens of Barre. So the 25,000 is basically what we've been operating on under the pretense of that for the last 6+ months. And going forward, we have volunteers that, like myself and Stephanie, that would continue to work, assuming the operational budget is met. But again, if we could get to that higher number, then we could hire more staff and offer more services. And we don't expect the city, obviously, to fund that. That is where our grants and other opportunities are coming from. So basically, the gap funding we're requesting would get us to a point where we could receive more grant funding and other corporate, local, and otherwise community partners to help support the center. Yes,
All right.
thank you.
And Councilor Stockwell?
I'm so pleased that Berry City has opened the Rainbow Bridge Community Center. It's a
Thank
great
you.
thing to have in Berry City.
Thank
I'm
you.
very pleased, but, we had people come late last week who have a long history with the council of handing in their petitions. So this is really late. We've already approved a budget to be prepared. So can you tell me why you couldn't come to us a little sooner and say, this is an issue?
I think we were really behind the ball from the beginning, obviously. And it was a matter of discovery, reaching out to partners in the city, like the Central Vermont Economic Council, and Nicholas has been fantastic. But, reaching out to those people really made us aware how behind we were and how desperately we needed to get in here as soon as possible. So of course, we apologize for that, and we know it's very late, which is why we're asking you very humbly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Lozon?
Thank you. Just in the interest of disclosure, folks, I've been working with Greg to try to bring their financial house in order, helping him with financial statements, tax returns, also helping them with getting in front of the right people. And what you just said is entirely accurate. Greg worked, I got to know Greg, my children went to school with his. So that's how we got to know Greg. And he opened this center using his own money, really, his own money, his own labor, 100% volunteers, and really started out behind. And then figured out that it was a lot of work to run a welcoming, inclusive center that's open 12 hours a day. So that only put him further behind with the fundraising and the reaching out to corporate sponsors. And, you know, that's where they find themselves today. I'm struggling a bit with putting it on the ballot because one of the things, and I have to apologize, Carol, I asked you for a recommendation on the 10 and the 3. You said no, and I voted for it anyway. And I never should have done that to you because you were doing your job. But we do have ARPA funds. I mean, I'm a creative guy. I'd say, no, you raise 1,000, we'll give you 1,000, and we'll do that up to $12,500. And, you know, Karen and I are donors and supporters of the center. It's something that, you know, we believe Greg's trying to do something really good in this community. And I guess time will tell whether their plans are perhaps too ambitious, but at least 25,000. So even 12.5 from the city, and we didn't spend quite as much as we thought we were going to spend on the warming center. And this does, you know, this also serves, I mean, Greg welcomes everyone. So there are folks who are homeless and they wander in, and as long as they're respectful, as long as they respect everyone there and they respect Greg and they respect what he's trying to do, they're 100% welcome. So, you know, I'd like to see us maybe, we've got until the 31st to get this show on the road.
We've got until the 31st to decide whether we want to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
That would give me, we've got other sources. We've got Semper Bond annuity. We've got a small balance left in the Semper Bond
Yeah. But we got time.
We've got a week, so.
Yeah. But I'm always, you know, I'm the hard ass here. It's just me. And I'm the first guy to say, look, what if we do, like, I loved what they did with the warming center, because they said, look, we'll raise 6 if you give us 6. Well, I like leverage. So I'm certainly not saying no, but I'm struggling with warning it and putting it on the ballot only because there was a process. And I know why you didn't make it in, because Greg was working so hard to make the center welcoming and make it work. But I think we have other funding sources, and I think if the majority of the council is willing, we can probably put ourselves in a position to help. Probably not to the tune of 25. There'll be some catches on there, but I'm anxious to work with you.
So
Thank you.
I saw Councilor Wozniak and then Councilor Shambell.
Yeah, no, I think I agree generally with Councilor Lozon's thinking. I'm not ready to like say, yes, let's do it with ARPA. You mentioned Semper Bond annuity. I'm interested in that. And that's just because of the function. I agree. I said last week when we approved the People's Health and Wellness and the Washington County Mental Health, like I think we're here to help people. And if we're not willing to bend the rules a little bit to help people, then what are we really doing? But there are just so many things that differentiate this request with the requests that we were getting from Washington County Mental Health and from the People's Health and Wellness Clinic, that exploring, and I do want to help, and maybe I'll go up to 13 or 14. But I do want to find a way to help, and if we can find a way to help without putting it on the ballot this year, I think that's our best path forward.
All right, Councilor Shambell.
I also am thrilled that you all are in town. It's a big gift to Barry in so many ways. I echo the discomfort about putting this on the ballot this late, you know, partially because it opens a huge door, and I'm going to be the hard ass. We can't keep
Well done.
We can't keep putting things on the ballot. So I'm appreciating some other way of looking at it. I would have liked to have seen more activity having come from you all, but I also understand that you have more other things going on. Anyway, so I'm just saying this in support of some creativity and some keeping it off the ballot, because it's compared especially to a lot of other groups, it's an extraordinary amount. And I'm not sure that's exactly the use of that set of monies.
All right, any other questions? Counselor Stockwell?
I agree with Councilor Shambell that we should not put it on, we should not add it to the list of requests. But just say next time, it would be great to come back with a little more data. It's a little harder. And since you have Councilor Ozon, a slightly more readable, logical budget. You know, if you could just say, okay, here's what we're spending, here's what we've spent, and here's we're seeing this many people in counseling, and if you're billing their insurance, assume that the group is taking some percentage, the organization is taking some percentage, it's not going directly to the
absolutely not.
counselors.
No, it's an arrangement strictly between the counselors and the folks they service.
It's volunteer.
The center offers as a facilitation and as a site to do it. You know, we have a therapy room. But it's not like that. There's no fiscal involvement with the center as far as that is concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Everyone's been, no?
I think everybody has.
Yeah, I think we've all been to the center. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I've been playing phone tag.
No, I was
I've been playing phone tag with Greg for 6 months, so I haven't-
99.9% certain. I just wanted to
I saw him
make
at the
sure.
supermarket last week.
And the two of you are volunteer.
Absolutely.
So
Every
thank
single
you.
person in
Thank you
the-
for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I would
Thank
just
you.
stress again that we are only just beginning. Obviously, we're still trying to catch up, and we're making progress. And I know we're late, and it's been slow, but we've got a lot of momentum going. The recognition in the community is growing every single day. Our numbers, as far as we can tell, people know more about us every day. Our attendance at events is growing, so I know that there's momentum there. We're really just looking for something to get us through to the next, to the spot where we can get that fund from other.
We can't hear you online. You gotta speak into the mic.
Oh, excuse me.
I would like to add that as a board, we've grown in a very short period of time, not just in numbers, but as people, and we've had a lot of learning experiences. So if we get the opportunity to stay open, I think we can only just start doing better in the future.
We'll provide you that hard data you're looking for.
Great to see you. Glad you could
All
come.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time.
Any other visitors and communications? All right, Bernadette Rose.
Thank you. My name is Bernadette Rose. I live in Berry City. Mayor Booton.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
City councilors, city manager Stella Castro. Yesterday, at the January 23rd meeting of the ADA committee, the members unanimously voted to recommend that city council put the committee on hiatus until such time as city council can provide a clear and doable charge with an ADA coordinator for the city. I want to be clear, this was not a result of the reset. I also offer my resignation to city council and the city manager as chair and as a member of the ADA committee effective this evening. I appreciate how much I have learned about the many ways people with disabilities live as unseen and unheard members of our community, and the way that invisibility affects the behaviors and choices of residents and council. This action will allow those of us who wish to support and advocate for people with disabilities to do so without the onus of adhering to the regulations placed upon city bodies, and hopefully result in a more informed and proactive disability community. Thank you.
Vern, one minute, please. I think Counselor Shambo wants.
No,
Oh,
but I will eventually.
okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you for your service. Really. Sorry to hear that. I'll let you.
I echo the thank you. It sounds, I mean, you have come very often to deliver updates and requests, etc. And it sounds like this is a decision to work in a different way, but not under the auspices of council. And I have a lot of respect for that. It might have a different, how would I say it, a different way of working with council that isn't within our purview. And that might be for the better.
I think it's time.
Mhm.
And so did the other two people who are still on the city council. I mean, still on the committee. It's been extremely difficult, I guess, over the years when the ADA committee was first begun. There was a lot of people who were interested and participated, did surveys for the city. Jeff has the result of those surveys. And slowly that began to be eroded. People died, people moved away, more people died. People became unable to participate. The technology changed and it became a more difficult and challenging process. And after two really treasured members of the committee resigned for mostly health reasons, it felt like a really difficult thing to keep trying to meet the new standards and to keep people informed. And I'm not so swift at home. It takes me hours to put together things. And Carol laughed when I told her I was reading the strategic plan, but I was reading the strategic plan. And sometimes I read all that I can of council minutes and have questions. So you hear from me. But this takes so much of my personal energy, and it takes the personal energy of the other members that we all decided that putting it, tabling that committee until there was a really clear need for it or a clear charge for it was in the best interest of ourselves and for the best interest of the city. So it's, yeah, and I've learned so much. So I thank you all for, because you're still going to hear from me.
Thank you.
We had Councilor Lozon, then Erica.
Nope, I'm good.
And can I just say something to you, Councilor Lozon?
Of course, ma'am.
It was a remark that you made that made me recognize how little people are seen. And I thank you for making that remark when you said that you hadn't realized until you read the letter of interest that we did not have a handicap accessible bathroom. Because unless you're looking for one, you're not going to see it.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
And we know that. And so part of trying to recommend things is that if you're not using it or you're not needing it, you're not going to see it or you're not going to see the value of it. And in our discussion, we talked about working with our community to have a better informed community of people with disabilities who can help advocate and help to bring those issues that they face in their daily lives to the attention of council and to the attention of Berry City. So thank you. That was.
Well, you're welcome, ma'am. And what I also said is that the items that you put forth were very thoughtful. and that it is our obligation. You know, it's not, gee, wouldn't this be nice? It is our obligation to accommodate all of our citizens. So I am hopeful that we can get those projects done.
And I did sign my own name on them because I wrote them all myself. So you're still going to have me to deal with, but
We'll name the bathroom after you. I swear.
I would love it.
Is that an honor?
I'll even offer you a painting for it.
Erica Rail?
I'm also presenting a letter of resignation, so I'll wait.
Okay. Counselor Wozniak?
Yes, I just want, first
And
of all,
then
echoing
Counselor Stockwell.
everyone's
Sorry.
thanks. And I know that we'll still be hearing from you in your capacity as Byrne, even if you're not the chair. When you said ask for a hiatus, I'm just curious, did the committee discuss like, all right, 6 months or 3, or just until there's a charge and a designated coordinator to work with the committee?
We just said to put it on hiatus, and the city may not see value in having an ADA committee. You know, if you don't have a charge for the committee, why have a committee? Why engage staff? Why engage volunteers who could be doing other things? So, so we just, it felt important to step back from that process. And we already each, the three of us already have ways that we are interfacing with the community of people with disabilities.
Counselor
I just
Stockwell?
also want to thank you and look forward to your future presence at the council, and to thank you mostly for your advocacy. I was so pleased to see in the capital improvement plan things related to ADA. That seems to be very hopeful. And I think that's one of the outcomes of having a committee.
Now, actually, it was the outcome of having me stay up until the middle of the night to get that in and on time.
We'll take it.
We'd had things, but I really want to say that that's part of the reason for doing this hiatus, is that we don't have the bandwidth, we don't have the people. And when you're a person living with multiple disabilities or even one disability, that adds an additional layer of challenge to your life every day, and makes it more difficult to participate in city government. And so I just say hats off to anybody who's already doing service and has things that make life so much more challenging for them. So thank you all very much. And who gets my letter? Carol. Nicholas.
Either one.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate all of you, because I know how much work it was for me.
Thank you, Byrne. Erica Rail?
So I, in turn, am resigning from the ADA committee, and I will email my letter. I, Erica Rell, with heavy heart, am resigning from the ADA committee, which started 10 years ago. It was started in order to have Berry City lead and follow the ADA, the letter of the law. However, over time, it has become less and less a priority of Berry, and more a fight to have Berry meet standards, which my sisters and brothers have fought for in passing the Americans with Disabilities Act. I use my knowledge of the Rehab Act, the ADA, and other disability rights laws to help those that need it. When folks need questions answered or resources, I will be there. Unfortunately, right now, it feels that Berry City does not support the ADA committee. So I am stepping down. Thank you.
All right. Any other, thank you for your service. Any other questions? Counselor Deering?
I'd like to know what the city could do to make the ADA, the future ADA committee, feel more appreciated and aware.
For one thing, the ADA committee was formed because the ADA law said that they had to have an ADA coordinator for the city. It was under my understanding that there was an ADA coordinator for the city, but that person has not attended meetings in the past. There was supposed to be an ADA transition plan that has never been formed. There has been supposed to be ADA training that has never been attended. And any guidance the ADA committee has ever given the city has just been lip service. So we feel that we have just been kind of just there. So those of us with disabilities in the city just kind of feel that we've just been kind of just been people and not been listened to. We've been, you know, complaining and complaining and complaining, and we're just sitting there complaining, and we're just sick of it. So that's why we decided to take a hiatus. Thank you.
All right. Any other visitors and communications? With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
We pull E, Mayor, are we going to pull E, item E?
We certainly can pull that off to the side.
Pull it off the consent. I should have said something earlier, I apologize.
So we'll do consent agenda and then we'll do E.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We're just pulling it from the motion.
yeah.
So, motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those.
We do have some licenses.
we got?
That are included, food establishment licenses for Gusto's, Ladder One Grill, and Maria's Bagels, entertainment licenses for the Berry Partnership, Berry Unitarian Universalist Church, Gusto's and Ladder One Grill, and fireworks permit for the Berry Partnership for the Heritage Festival. All of them have the appropriate department approvals and are part of the consent agenda.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Could
And
we split
E?
E? I have,
All
well, I
right.
have a conflict.
All right,
So I
so
have to abstain,
I would-
because I abstained last week.
I would make a
So-
motion to ratify the council's action on 1/10/23 for $10,000 to be placed on the ballot for Washington County Mental Health.
second. All right, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed?
No.
No? Okay.
Make a motion, oh, sorry.
Hang on, let me catch up.
I'm just
Okay.
going through the 11. Make a motion to ratify the council's action on 1/10/23 in regards to $3,000 being placed on the ballot for the People's Health and Wellness Clinic.
All those in, sorry, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention.
All right, thank you very much. All right, city clerk and treasurer's report. Are you doing shorthand? No, you're not doing shorthand, never mind.
Not real shorthand.
Not really. I understand that.
When I was working in New York City and had to take blocking for shows,
Ooh.
you know, so-and-so moves to the left or the right and stage.
You better learn
You
shorthand.
learn shorthand, some kind of shorthand really quickly. Lots of arrows and things like that. So, continuing reminder that, that town meeting is coming up on March 7th. We have the nominating petition deadline next Monday, the 30th. We will keep the clerk's office open until 5, as is required by law. 5 p.m. is the deadline for nominating petitions. So if you still have petitions out there, come on into the clerk's office by 5 o'clock next Monday. This past week, we had the parking meter coinage picked up that was generated during the holiday free parking. And the amount raised for the Renita Marshall Helping Hands Foundation is $3,890.
Nice.
Nice.
So that, we're very
For Berry
excited about
City.
that, and that check will be available for them next week. So thank you to all the people who fed the
Yes.
meters during the holidays. One thing that I just want to let the council be aware of is that we received word yesterday that the Senate, which is working on an omnibus housing bill, has included in that bill placeholder language about an additional extension for the debt incurrence window for our TIF district. And
You're welcome.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you,
Lozon.
Keisha. So we have been, we huddled to talk about times and all that kind of stuff and shared the information with the committee. My understanding is, I found out late this afternoon that it's likely that the TIF-related language in the omnibus housing bill will be pulled into a separate TIF-related bill so that they're not tied together, which hopefully will make it a little easier to move through, though there's great stuff in the housing bill too. So what we're looking at is a 2-year extension, which would take us to 26, the end of March of 26 for incurrence of debt. And we're also going to ask for a 5-year extension with regards to increment, keeping increment to help cover the costs associated with debt service. There's also a similar ask in the bill for Hartford and their TIF district. So we're not alone in this. But you may be seeing stuff about the bill. It doesn't have a number yet, but the draft is being worked on. So you may see more stuff in the paper, or you may get more information from me, and we may want people to weigh in to the committee as to why this is important. I will say that one of the big reasons why this is really important is that we're still dealing with the effects of COVID on the economy and inflation, and the ability to get contractors to do projects, the ability to get supplies, materials. We've had the North Main Street pump project. It was, I don't know, a minimum of 6 months before we could get the pump. We've got projects, we've got vehicles where the out time is more than a year. And those kinds of supply chain issues certainly have an impact not only on the city's ability to do public infrastructure projects, but also the ability of private development that requires the support of the infrastructure. So that's our rationale for dealing with the legislature, and we will keep pushing it forward. So cool.
Good news. All right. Thank you. All right. With that, liquor and cannabis control boards.
Nothing.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
City manager, Mr. Relly Castro, would you like to give us an update?
Sure.
I don't
Thank you,
know.
Acting Mayor. Just 3 quick things to know. We applied for a transit-oriented development grant this week. Council had approved a letter of interest submission at the prior meeting on the 10th, and we submitted our application on the 20th. So we're eligible for up to $100,000 for master plan bylaws updates. So thank you to Janet and Bill who helped put the contents there. The grant application was shared with council. Just want to know, had a great last week. We didn't have council meeting, but we had great meetings in the evening around EPA community engagement process that we've been undergoing. So we were selected to participate in the Community Solutions Team pilot program through the EPA to help us identify improvements to our stormwater, drinking water, and wastewater. And this is all to help us in our application process for the infrastructure bill funding. So we've had great technical assistance, community engagement from the U.S. Water Alliance, Moonshot Missions, and Mississippi State University. And so just great to see so many of you on the tours. We had tours at the wastewater treatment facility, and some great sessions with stakeholders on Wednesday. So thank you all for attending those. It was really great to hear from stakeholders, neighbors, and just everyone who was able to attend. And then just I'm told that 8 to 12 inches is a normal storm that I don't have to worry about, but there's a storm coming. And what I will say is, please don't park on our streets. There's a winter parking ban. It really disrupts the tow truck, the plows. Your car might get damaged. Please just don't park on the streets during the parking ban, especially with this big storm coming. Because even though I'm told it's nothing to worry about, it's still a lot of snow that we'll have crews out clearing, so.
Councilor Deering?
I just want a big kudos to the streets and the Public Works Department for literally every single thing that they do, between fixing water mains, plowing streets, sidewalks, just everything that they do is just so unthankful. It's selfless, and we never give them enough really bravo. So really, I just wanted to shout them out from the rooftops, from the council chambers, because these people are so amazing, and that they're really running our city, and we just don't ever give them enough thanks.
Yeah. They do a lot of the behind the scenes work. Well, and sometimes it's in front of us, but they do a lot of the work that helps us get from point A to point B. And certainly, as part of the EPA visit, it was great to have the guys at the wastewater treatment plant who have also a thankless job, but they're invisible because our sewer's working. When we flush, it works, and that's because of the guys down there making sure that happens. So there's a lot of people here doing a lot of things that are sort of in the background that we get that done.
I'm gonna embarrass you. So, how's the tire situation?
Same tires, no snow tires.
Would recommend that you get some real tires on there. Now, you do have a four-wheel, right?
Yes.
You do have that, so I mean, at least you're covered in
set in
that.
my storage unit.
Yeah.
So we have the same SUV.
I might have to stop by. Although I'm told
To
8
me-
to 12 inches is nothing. to
It's
worry about.
nothing. It isn't that much.
It's a Wednesday.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I got my four-wheeler.
I mean, really good stuff. I will have to tell you, the most recent weather report that came out from Vermont Emergency Management at 6 o'clock this evening has dropped it down to 6 to 7.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly. You just need a
Call that a
broom.
dusting.
Right, you just need a broom. You don't even need a shovel.
This stuff is light.
I love it.
All right.
Just
Council
because.
meeting.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. All right. So moving on, and we'll move right on to the strategic. Did anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Let's move on to the strategic plan then.
Thank you. And so we have Jim Burson is joining us. I saw him.
Yep, he's here.
somewhere there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Jim, there you go.
Good evening, everybody.
So Jim has going to run through a presentation. BIOS Partners was retained to help us during this process. And it actually started before I started in this position. I was able to join before I'd taken the position for an in-person session that council and the staff had in June. Since then, we've gone through a lot of deliberation on this with the steering committee, had some one-on-one with members of the council.
Hold up. There's something wrong with the mics.
Nothing's changed, so maybe just speak up, Nicholas.
Okay. So anyhow, so I'm going to turn it over to Jim, who's got this presentation. I just want to say that it's been a really positive process all around, and the interactions with both the council side and the staff side, and I'm really excited about where we've landed. And just for clarity, this is not asking for an approval here tonight. I think this is our first time in a while sort of reconnecting with the document, but thought it would be helpful for you all to see where we've kind of landed with this plan. So Jim, do you want to take us away to the PowerPoint?
Sure. I will need someone to enable screen sharing.
Yeah, okay, great. So he has the, oh, lovely. should do that more often. All right. You should be good, Jim.
All righty. You've given me dangerous power here. I'll try to use it responsibly. Hang on a
I
second.
know. I'll be
You know,
watching.
you're stepping in for the mayor, you never know what you're gonna get, right? Hold on a second. 1 second. Hang on. 1 second here. Now we've got my issues here. Done. Slideshow. How about that from the beginning? So wanted to talk a little bit about the process that we went through, and then sort of the high level mission and vision for the city. And then some of the high level goals. And again, I think those materials are in your packet, and many of you have been involved in many different ways. I know the mayor's not here, Mayor Jake's not here tonight, but certainly council members have had an opportunity for input and participation along the way, as best as their busy calendar is able to provide. So I'm not going to read everything on the slides, to not put everybody to sleep, but I will say that we tried to develop a process that was inclusive of city leadership, both staff and council members. We tried to get the voices of city employees and the volunteers that serve on the many boards and commissions and committees that that support the work of the city. And we tried to also sort of pull as much as we could from your existing reports and analyses so that we had a strong base of information to create a sense of a shared understanding of the current state and then of the city, as well as sort of the pressing needs and opportunities to improve city life, the city economic environment, housing, etc. We also did a situational assessment as a SWOT analysis, and have really had a lot of conversations along the way. I want to thank the staff leadership and the city manager and several city council members who also sat on the planning commission or the planning team that really sort of helped sort of guide the process. And those, I think all of you are here this evening who were involved in that process. Again, sort of aspirations for our city. We envision a Barre city that is a great place to work, live, and raise a family, is vibrant with an active downtown, diverse businesses and a range of activities and opportunities for residents of all ages, continues to be well-run, well-managed, and well-led, is financially sustainable, continuously maintains and continually invests in its infrastructure, has residents that are civically engaged and actively working on the betterment of the city, and attracts new residents, businesses, and investments. We also put together a vision for city government so that both residents and city employees and council members have sort of shared expectations of what government delivers and how government performs, and that you're responsive, inclusive, transparent, and respectful to and for all, proactive, high-performing, and provide excellent services, that sustain and improve our city and its quality of life, reflect a true partnership between elected and appointed officials, works as a cohesive team on shared goals and priorities, and leverages each other's respective expertise and roles, and has a workforce that is supported, collaborative, sufficient, and efficient. We put together a mission statement as well, sort of a statement of purpose for the city government to provide high-quality, responsive municipal services in partnership with residents, to ensure an inclusive community where all residents have the opportunity to thrive and become part of Barre's rich history and future. We established 5 goals for the city, and I'll walk through them very quickly on the next couple of slides. The first is really around to keep Barre affordable for residents by developing a strong and diversified financial base that grows the grand list. And so you see a couple of strategies related to housing, economic development, and the tax base. We have a goal around reliable infrastructure, including roads, water, sewer, and public buildings that meet needs through continuing to invest in maintenance, upgrades, and replacements. So facility infrastructure maintenance plan, Bill's been working on a resourcing strategy to address the short-term needs of the infrastructure, a long-term capital plan as well around funding this work. Looking to leverage capacity of current infrastructure where possible to support expanded regional use and innovative solutions. You certainly have capacity in certain areas with some investment that you may be able to sort of leverage in terms of engaging other communities to purchase those services. Looks like we're running out of room on this screen. The piece around transportation, and I cannot see the last one on this page, unfortunately. In terms of the city becoming a great employer, we heard a little while ago about challenges in other areas around finding employees and finding high quality employees, and certainly what you're experiencing in the city is no different than most businesses and folks in the city are experiencing in their work environments. So looking at city salaries are competitive and that benefits are compelling, really sort of promoting the value of the work that the city does. It's always nice when council members are able to recognize Public Works and other departments and the contributions that they're making and the work that they're doing. It helps taxpayers understand where their money is going and the impact it's having. Certainly opportunities to generate operational efficiencies, right? So wherever we can work smarter, rather than harder, we'll certainly sort of try to do that. And then a human capital pipeline. How do we sort of build the next generation of the pipeline for the next generation of city employees that are able to do the work of the 21st century? The fourth goal is really about community pride, to make the city a safer and more attractive community, or an attractive and safer community for all who work, visit, and live in the city. This is some strategies here around optimizing and using for the use of enjoyment of the city's natural resources, really sort of fleshing out the rest of the all-in Barry plan, looking at making the city a destination for events and always continuing to focus on enhancing community safety in and around the city. And then, the last one is really around alignment of the city, the branches of government, not only the council and the administration and the city manager, but also the role of the city committees and boards and commissions. I heard a little bit of that earlier in this meeting as well. So you see some strategies here that are really around continuing to sort of strengthen the functioning and communication and collaboration of all of you, and also all the many volunteers that support the day-to-day work of the city through committees and task forces, et cetera. And so in talking with city manager, we just wanted to have a little bit of discussion. You've had a chance to see the plan, I believe is in your packet, but really just to sort of see if there, what, if anything, excites you about the plan, what might be missing, if your thoughts about where the city should start, and what needs to maybe potentially shift in our own way of work to achieve this plan. So I know you've got other items on your agenda and don't want to spend all night on this, but we did want to at least create a little space for discussion or conversation or reaction and feedback. So I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay, and let folks sort of provide their comments and feedback. And again, as the city manager said, this is an opportunity to sort of check in and not necessarily sort of approve it tonight, but really sort of provide some feedback and reaction to what you've seen and heard tonight.
All right, questions, comments? Yeah, I saw Councilor Stockwell.
When I was at a meeting about water quality and wastewater treatment, one of the discussions was about a mapping procedure for the entire city, so that you could know where was developable, where could you develop land, where was there possible housing, where were there infrastructure needs. And I thought that'd be a great strategy to add to this plan. Is that possible?
I'll look to the city manager, but and all of you, I think this is your plan, so it is not mine. I'm here in Rhode Island where we're not getting 7 or 8 inches of snow coming up. So it's your plan, and if you want it in there, we put it in there.
I think that would seem to fit in as a strategy under developing a strong, diversified financial base, where we talk about the need for housing.
Councilor Deering?
So being involved in this process from start to this point, being involved in all the small mini meetings and all the one-on-one interviews and all of those things, seeing this product as it is, Jim, I think that you and your team have done a really good job putting all of this information together, coming from so many different groups of people, between counselors, we had team leader, department heads, we had committee chairs, so many different people putting their input into this. And I'm really proud of this document, this stuff that we have put together here.
Thank you.
Councilor Wozniak?
Because you said it's a real team effort.
Yeah, just for my 2 cents, I think this is a very balanced report. Like, I like that we're talking about everything from, the diversity of our grand list and our infrastructure needs and matching with partners and federal funding, all the way down to just like optimizing the use and enjoyment of our natural resources and our parks. It seems like a really good balance of, frankly, very wonky, very in the weeds of city government recommendations, but also just some like good old fashioned community pride and utilizing all of the great things that make Barry Barry. So I really appreciate that about this document. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No? City
I'll weigh in.
I almost said Counselor Storelli Castro again. I'm setting you up now.
I agree with Counselor Wazzaq in terms of it being really well balanced, but also it's very quietly saying a lot. There's a lot embedded within the document. So I could be wrong, but I think it's going to take some effort for us to figure out where to focus and how to focus on what's before us. The other thing that I also think about it is, as you were going through it, Jim, was we are starting to do some of this already, that maybe it's that thing of we started having these conversations. So somehow we're starting to, I don't know if I'd say think differently, but kind of move in different directions.
Manager?
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say manager.
And I think it's been a great process from the beginning, and it certainly has helped me get acquainted with the position, the challenges of the position. I think a couple of things about this document. I'm also really happy where it landed. I think that I've been part of strategic planning processes before, where the document sits on a shelf, and I don't want that to happen to this document. And so I think I'm going to make it a big part of how I lead the department heads, and I think it should be a big part of the things that we tackle here at the council, because I think it's a hard process to go through. It took us all a lot of time, a lot of commitment, not just the folks sitting at this desk, but a lot of the department heads also put in a ton of time into this. And I think that it's important that we give this document I don't know if respect's the right word, but we give it the attention that it deserves, because I think it's filled with everyone's ideas. And so I really want to make sure that we commit to not letting this be something that collects dust on a bookshelf somewhere. And to that end, I think, as we go through, as we went through this budget process, this was in the back of our heads, because as I said, it was really, the timing was good that this was happening as I was coming on. But as we go through, you can hesitate to start thinking about it, next year's budget, this should be a lot of our guiding principles, and a lot of the, budgets are about making difficult decisions. And so when we think about those difficult decisions, I want this to be a lot of how we measure those and think about those.
All right, any other comments?
What's the next step?
So I think the next step is we got some feedback from Councilor Stockwell that we're happy to add in here as a strategy. I think if there's other things that come to mind from councilors that we're happy to bring back up as a discussion item. I think we should go through like a formal adoption process where we can come back in a couple of weeks after people. It's a lot to read and take in, and so I think we'll let people sit on it for a couple of weeks, and I think it'd be good to have like a formal adoption once everyone's had it.
Great.
Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor, if I might also just add that what I've committed to the city manager is, as this moves forward, to sit down with the city leadership team to really sort of think about some recommendations about what does the first year of work look like in terms of implementation. So where do you start from a set of so the staff can develop a set of recommendations. And certainly if council members have strong or not even strong feelings about what's a top priority to start with, that information is really helpful. And then the other is sort of fleshing out the metrics and measurables to really sort of understand and be very specific and concrete as to how we measure the success of the plan, both in terms of its happening, as well as moving the needle on critical city indicators that city leadership, both council and staff, find most important in terms of quality of life, economic development, housing, et cetera. So I have a little more work to do with the team to sort of put the final details in, but also really around how this rolls out. And lastly, we have created sort of a working version of what I think it looks really nice. I won't share it now, but a one-page visual that captures sort of the beauty of the city, along with the mission, vision, and value, vision and goals of the strategic plan that can be included in materials that are provided on the website, in binders, and even sort of blown up to a poster size to be in people's offices in the city as well as in council chambers. So again, as the city manager said, you know, the best way to keep these documents alive is by continuing to breathe life into them, making them visible and not on a shelf, but in the action. So I'll be working with the manager around some strategies to do just that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the next agenda is the authorization of the allocation of $250,000 in ARPA funding to Downstreet in support of Granite City Apartments project. Manager Storelli Castro.
Thank you, Acting Mayor.
I'm getting it slowly.
Getting it. So thank you, and council, so you have a memo in the packet requesting authorization to allocate $250,000 in ARPA to Downstreet to support the last piece of the financing puzzle for the Granite City Apartments project at the Ward 5 school. This project will result in 9 new units, affordable units for the city. This will bring a property that's currently.
Excuse me, Mr. Manager, can you try using Michael Booton's old mic? Speak into that instead.
Is that better?
Is that better online? Start talking, Nicholas.
Hello? Hello? Better? All right.
Okay, so that mic, for
This
whatever reason, is
might
not
be dead.
working.
Yeah, so,
Thank you.
so I won't go through all that, but just asking for $250,000 for Downstreet for the Granite City Apartments project. This, a lot of benefits to the city. This creates 9 new units of affordable housing in a building that is not contributing to the grand list now and would contribute to the grand list after it's developed. And the basis for this recommendation is to be responsive to our very extensive ARPA engagement process that we went through. We discussed this at our last meeting. We solicited letters of interest from anybody in the city with a compelling project to submit those to us. We did a survey that was able to be completed both online and on paper, and we held a forum on November 15th. In response to the response from the survey, overwhelmingly listed housing generally as the highest priority for the use of ARPA funds, and Downstreet's project specifically as the highest rated individual project of all those that were submitted in time to be included on the survey. I believe that it's no surprise probably to anyone here that the housing crunch is real. And so this is directly responsive to that. From terms of using ARPA funding for this, I believe this is exactly the type of project that is deserving of ARPA funding. Our contribution towards these apartments is about 7% of the total project cost. So we've talked often about the need to leverage ARPA funding, that it's great to have $2.5 million. It'll be greater to turn 2.5 million into 5 million and 7.5 million and 10 million. This
In grand list growth?
in ARPA funds. It's to leverage the ARPA funds.
Right, but leveraging doesn't mean anything if you don't get grand list growth.
We will get grand list growth.
How
with this.
much?
I don't know yet. It's until it gets assessed by the state, but there will be grand list associated with this. So I believe that this is this leverages ARPA funding. We are not the sole funding source for this project. As I said, our contribution represents 7% of the total project cost at less than $30,000 per new unit that's coming online. And so I strongly, and based on responding to a critical city need and the fact that the people who responded to the survey rated housing and this project specifically highly, I believe this is responsive on all those fronts, and that's why I'm making this proposal.
All right, so we've got lots of questions in this room, I'm sure. So we'll go with Councilor Wozniak first.
I would just want to offer, rather than going to perhaps offering Downstreet a chance to just give a quick word, or that might just,
That's
they
fine.
might answer some of the questions
Sure.
before we ask them.
So I will.
I see Kara,
let-
Michelle,
who wants
Nicola.
to, who's up on the Price is Right?
I can speak. Can everyone hear me okay?
Sure can.
Great. So hi, everyone. My name is Nicola Anderson. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for Down Street Housing and Community Development. Thank you for bringing this to the table tonight. And we really, really appreciate Berry City's support. A little bit just about this project, was mentioned, currently this building is not in the grand list. It has been vacant for about 10 years. It is currently owned by Berry Housing Authority. As they're a public housing authority, they don't need to pay taxes, but we will be paying taxes on the building that will be assessed and done through the process and according to state law. Also, because this building is owned by a public housing authority, it can only be used in the future. It can only be used as housing. The only option for this building is to be used as housing. So this is a great opportunity for Down Street to come in and to develop this old building that is blighted, that is falling apart, that is not in good shape whatsoever. Like there's a steam boiler, in there. We're gonna, bring this up to code, bring up the energy efficiency, and create 9 new beautiful units to people in need in Berry for housing. We also have a great, we're gonna have project-based vouchers in the building, partnering with Berry Housing Authority on that. And we're also partnering with 3 service agencies to provide supportive services in the units as well. We're really excited. This kind of finalizes the last piece of the puzzle for financing. We can secure this financing tonight. Our goal is to be closing and starting construction June this year. So that's kind of where our schedule's at. But I just wanted to share a little bit about the building. Again, we're just so excited to be able to bring 9 new units to Berry. And we've been working on this project for a little bit of a while. And we really appreciate all of Berry City's support. So thank you.
All right. Councilor Stockwell.
I just have a comment. Thank you, Nicola, for your presentation. I'm very excited about this. I'm pretty thrilled that Berry City rated this project as the #1 thing that they would support. And I just have to say, when I was working at a nonprofit, we got a referral for a family with a new baby living at the dugout. And I thought, no one lives at the dugout. It's been closed for years. There's nothing there. But sure enough, they couldn't find a place to live. So they were living with their baby in the dugout, which was an unbelievable mess. So I'm so thrilled that this is going to happen. And I'll be your neighbor. Thanks.
Councilor Lozon?
So, the issue that I have with this is that, okay, I get it. It was, how many housing projects were submitted as ideas? I'm only aware of this one.
I'm only aware of this one, yep.
Okay, so it won in a field of 1.
Yes, and everyone had an
Okay,
opportunity
well,
to submit.
All right. So they were first in a field of 1. 300 people, 400 people responded to the survey, roughly
309.
5%. I'm sorry?
309.
309. We have a population of over 8,000.
Mhm.
So I hope our budget is better. I've gotten more information from Front Porch Forum than I have here in the council chambers. So I'm trying to do the math because that's how I roll. It was written in Front Porch Forum that this project is going to generate approximately $14,000 in property tax revenue. Is that correct?
I would say that's like the rough estimate at this time. We won't know until the project's completed.
See, and I don't even understand that. I mean, I can do math and I can do projections, and if you give me your numbers, I can tell you what the fair market value of the property is. I mean, it's not, I'm always wary when people say, well, I can't do that math now. Why? Well, we haven't built the project. Wait a minute, you financed it. You know how much it's going to cost. You know how much people are going to pay. How can you possibly not provide us with the value? Maybe, but I need that information. Because as I look at $14,000, and correct this math, Carol, if I'm wrong, but $14,000 translates into roughly $400,000 of grand list value. Give or take?
I'd have to, sounds about right.
I mean, I took I'll tell you what I did. I took 14,000 divided by 355
350.
times 100.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if you had a if you had a $400,000 building, you'd pay $14,000 in property taxes, which is what we're projecting this is going to pay. So it's not leveraging, as far as our grand list is concerned, as far as our citizens are concerned, we're not leveraging 250,000 into 3 million. We're leveraging 250,000 into $400,000 of grand list growth. Now, if it was 3 million, like with City Place, and I can show you that math, like we did with the Blanchard block, I can show you that math, I would be all over it, because our return was over 25%. I don't see that return here. And Mr. Manager, don't get me wrong. I like the idea, I like the initiative. I'd be a heck of a lot more comfortable, even if this were a long-term loan, so that the money came back to the city and we could use it for other future infrastructure projects, or we could create a loan fund. So if they were paying back, say, $10,000 a year, we could take that $10,000 and lend it to someone else at a low interest rate that would then grow that person's, grow their home value and grow that grand list. I mean, we could leverage this 25 times more than we are now. And those are the questions that I have. And in 13 years of serving as mayor and on this council, I've never approved a $250,000 request with just so little information, other than, well, it's housing. Yep, $28,000 a unit that we're giving away, 10% of our total ARPA funds that we're giving away. So I think we can get, like when these nice folks from the Rainbow Bridge Center came in, and I said, well, not real thrilled about doing this, but I'd be all over, a 100% leverage, the city giving you 12.5 and then them raising 12.5. I'd be all over a loan. And someone who tells me, if they say this will kill this project, don't say that to me. I've been a developer for 30 years. Don't say it. Don't say it. I've been over budget 15% on projects. I always made it work. And if you want, I'll take a look at your project and I'll guarantee you I can make it work with that 250,000.
Councilor Wozniak?
Yeah, so I want to state, I want to be the happy person is what I'm going to do. I am not going to let anybody steal my joy on this one. I am so excited about this project. I think it is a great project. I understand Councilor Lozon's concerns about the leveraging of the funds. But right now this building is on the grand list for $0. It'll be on the grand list for more than that, and that's a return on investment. You offered the numbers, Councilor, of we're leveraging 250,000 to get back 400,000. Cool. We just made $150,000. That's great to me. I think that, I said this a couple weeks ago, one of the things that I get most frustrated by in municipal government is how few opportunities we get to make an investment and then immediately see physical results, tangible results from an investment that the city's made. And I think this is an opportunity to do exactly that. The reason I support this request is because we need all kinds of housing. We need low income housing. We need moderate income housing. We need single families and duplexes. We need it all. We have a great project that BADC is working on up at Prospect Heights. That will be a variety of different kinds of housing. That's great. I want to support that project and I want to support this project. I think that the opportunity that we have here, let's not oversimplify this. I mean, let's simplify this. Let's not overcomplicate this. We have the opportunity to make an investment and build 9 new homes. That's what these are. Yes, we can call them apartments or duplexes. These are homes. These are going to be 9 new folks who are going to school in Barry, who are working in Barry, who are living in Barry, who are walking downtown. I think that we talk a lot about, we talk so much about housing. There's an omnibus housing bill coming. We have the opportunity to do something now. Let's take the opportunity to do something. Let's get this done. I'm so excited about this. It has gone through the process. It has gone through the development review board. People have, given their feedback, and it's continued to move through the process. Why has it continued to move through the process? Because it's a really good idea, and it is just a great project for the city of Barry that will take a historic, vacant, non-tax generating building and turn it into modern housing, giving a home for 9 new families, 9 new individuals in Barry. And it does exactly what the manager said it does. It takes an investment of $250,000, and for that investment, we get the stake in a multi-million-dollar project. And that's exactly what the kind of work that we need to be doing. This is the best of a public-private partnership. This is just a really good project, and I really want to see this thing through to the end. So I know that there are other questions out there, and I want to give space, so I'm not going to offer this motion right at this moment. But what I'd like to do at the end of this conversation tonight is I'll offer a motion to place this on the table, which will allow the full council to weigh in on this when the mayor is back with us. It would give some time if Councilor Lozon wants to reach out directly to Downstreet and go through some of those numbers and have some of those questions answered directly before the next council meeting. It gives time to do that. So, with that, I yield. I'm all in, and I'll do whatever it takes to get this thing done.
So move.
Oh,
Table. Yeah, I mean, we all know where this is going, and I'll bring the math. I mean, if we said to a developer, but here's my last point, Counselor. $250,000 of everyone's money. Now, I'm sure, there are some decisions like voting no on Washington County mental health. I don't like that as a counselor. I don't like being the bad guy. I'm sure the 9 folks who received those homes are going to be so thrilled, so happy, so deserving. No doubt about it. But don't pitch something to me as a return on investment. Because I guarantee you, if we put an ad in the paper tomorrow and we say to any developer, hey, we're going to give you $250,000 as long as you guarantee you'll build something that will have $1 million of grand list value, they will be coming out of the woodwork. So pitch it for what it is, that there are less fortunate members of our community that need homes, but don't pitch it as an investment. Because as an investment, it's a dog.
Well,
So-
if I could just, sorry, acting mayor, if I could just respond to that. The fact remains, though, that right now it is generating $0 in tax revenue. If we approve this $250,000, if we approve that, it will start generating tax revenue of around $14,000 per year.
And you can buy a 1-year T-bill that will give you more. We could take $250,000, go buy a 1-year treasury bond, and we'd get more than 14 grand a year.
so it's basically.
And I vote for it too. Let's do both.
So I'm gonna let Councilor Deering make a comment.
So my first comment is, number one, I really appreciate this project. I support this project, but I really don't support $250,000 of community ARPA funds going into it. I know that as a Ward 3 councilor, I have a right and a responsibility to represent those constituents in Ward 3. And I would say that those in Ward 3 that I represent would rather see roads paved, things done to the sewer and to the water lines. And really with the infrastructure being done that $250,000 could bring, as opposed to potentially putting it into this project. I feel that my personal opinion from a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from constituents are that they're upset with the way that our roads are. They're tired of having to fix their vehicles. And for me to justify dumping $250,000 of ARPA funds into this $3.5 million project makes me wonder if they could do without the 7% that we're going to donate to them.
Councilor Schimbel?
I also think this is a great project. I think that just the fact that you have a building right now that's blighted and you go by it and it looks blighted, it would be nice to see it put back in some sort of shape and used in some way. We've been talking about this, as I understand it, for quite a long time. So I'm surprised that all of a sudden we're starting to talk a different conversation. And I don't think we're dumping money, so to speak. I think we're investing in something, Councilor Lozon. I don't know if it's going to bring back big money. However, there have been housing projects over the years that didn't necessarily bring back big money, but there are people who benefited from those housing projects. And I would like to see the 250,000 go to this project.
So I apologize, I'm going to speak on this one. So what we're talking about is $250,000. What I understand, the assessed value with the state of Vermont, it's going to come out to about 14,000 annually. Is that correct? What we're going to get for taxes?
Yeah, at this time, the calculation, that is what it is. Of course, we don't have construction numbers, but we do have that is what we're estimating the taxes are going to be at this time.
So we're looking at a 17-year tax stabilization program at zero, correct? That's what this equates to, right? It'll take 17 years to get $250,000 paid back to the city. And while that's happening, this frustrates me immensely. We've got the neighborhood that complained about it, and it's the $250,000 of our money as a municipality, our city. Quite frankly, I would rather see this on the ballot as a ballot non-binding resolution before doing this. That's my comment on that. It does frustrate me that it's coming out to about $311,000 per unit. I'm really not a big fan of, perfectly fine with it going forward. Not a big fan of us using $250,000 of our money to do it. With that, I will let Councilor Wozniak go.
Sure, I just want to address a couple comments, and just starting with the most recent one, 17 years to get the money back into the city. Quite frankly, I don't care. We are in a housing crisis. People need places to live. Barry City is pretty much chock full. I don't know if you've looked at I know the managers looked at the real estate market recently. I have heard from folks who have wanted to get apartments in Barry, and they cannot because they just go too quickly. So, 17 years to bring 9 new families, 9 new housing units into Barry, sign me up. I'm totally fine with that. Additionally, I want to say, you made the comment, acting mayor, you made the comment about construction costs. I mean, yeah, join the club. I'm also not thrilled that it's going to take $300,000.
And if I could, it's not $300,000 per unit. The Ward 5 school project is only $3.5 million. I believe Downstreet has other projects they're working on. This specific project is 3.5 million, and so that's and our share of that, I think, is the 250.
Yes.
So the 250, we're leveraging this for $28,000 per unit.
28,000. And again, I wish that, I just dropped my pen. I wish that it was cheaper than $28,000 per unit to build. I wish groceries were cheaper. I wish gas was cheaper. We are still, and we are still now, and we are going to be for years going forward, dealing with the economic impacts of COVID, and construction costs are not exempted from that. And in fact, we're seeing record high construction costs. And I'm not willing to halt a housing project to wait for construction costs to come down when they might not ever come down. It might not happen. We need to act, and we need to do something here. And the other thing I wanted to push back on respectfully is pitting this project against infrastructure. We are getting $2.5 million. We have $2.5 million in ARPA money. We've spent less than 100,000 of it, 200,000 recommended by the manager for community innovation projects, plus this $250,000 allocated to this project. That still leaves us over $1 million in just ARPA money. That's just ARPA. That's on top of the money that is already in our capital fund. That's on top of the $750,000 plus that we're going to be getting on an annual basis in return for the local options tax that the taxpayers, the voters passed last town meeting day. It's not this or infrastructure. The council can and must walk and chew gum at the same time. And that's what this project achieves. And so I really just think that we have an opportunity. We have to seize that opportunity. And it's just worth it. Let's not overcomplicate this. We need to house people. We're in a housing crisis. We have an opportunity to build more housing units in Barry, and we need to take advantage of that opportunity.
Councilor Stockwell. I will get to you, Erica.
Of course, we need more housing, and this project will be available for people within 1 to 2 years. The other projects I've heard about are available within 5 to 10 years. People need housing now, and doing this to that neighborhood will improve that neighborhood so much. I know there have been at least 2 complaints, but the rest of the people are not complaining. It will make quite a difference to that neighborhood, especially in terms of attractiveness. The building is a wreck. And to say, if we want people to live and work in this community, people who are working in our stores, people who are working in our businesses, then we have to give them a place to live. It's the only humane thing to do. And if we don't want Barry to die, then we have to make some investment in housing. And we may not see a huge monetary return, but a return in stability, a return in decent housing, a return in a stable life for people, those are good investments.
And do you want to, were you finished? I started to interrupt you and I apologize. I didn't want to. Okay.
You getting scared?
No, well,
Wield
I'll
that
just say
power.
that if I was a city councilor, I would make the motion right now and then vote no. But Erica, you're next.
Sure, thank you.
I almost
So
said
I'm in Ward 3, just for the record. And I'm saying, I want my neighbors to be housed. We already have money in our budget for our streets. I would rather my neighbors be housed. Sorry, my dog's barking. I don't care the cost. I want people to be living in a house. I know people that are living in the streets right now in Barry. And I don't care if my roads are bumpy for a couple more days or a couple more years. I want my neighbors to be living in a house. You know, I am one of those Ward 3 people that are saying, you know, the streets are not a big deal to me. Yeah, they're a little bumpy from time to time, but we have money for that. You know, this is a project that could help a couple more people. I was homeless once. I believe, you know, there's a couple counselors that said they were homeless too once. This is a project that could help some people. That's the reason I was a counselor. That's the reason why I'm on city committees, so I could help people. This can help people. A street can wait a couple weeks or a couple months or a couple years. This can help people now. Thank you.
Make a motion to lay it on the table.
Second.
So,
Did I miss public comment on this issue?
no, we haven't. May I ask that you pull that?
Withdraw.
Public comment, please. Yes, sorry.
I'm Jesse from Merchant Street, and I work in a construction business, and I've been paying attention to the online forum that has come up and whatever, and this has been a rich discussion. Thank you, all of you, for representing all sides of this. But the thing that came to my mind as I pay attention to this issue is that construction costs are really, really high. I hear all the time, like when a public housing or public infrastructure project comes up and they're like, oh, you always attach some big number to it and whatever, which kind of turns out to be what it is. You know, like I hear people all the time say, if a private guy did that, he'd do it for 50% of that number, you know, and maybe that's true, but a private situation is not going to give you like the 5/8 sheetrock that you need and all the fire ratings and all the sprinkler systems and everything's going on. So like when public projects come together, they're always expensive. But one thing that I do know is that the condition of that building is not going to get any better than what it is right now. Like it's just not going to get any better. So $28,000 per unit is actually not that expensive if you think about what that means for like 30 years of housing people right there. In the way construction costs are not going to get any cheaper, they're going up. So like, and then at the same time, the value goes beyond just 9 housing units. It also goes into you're preserving a historic building, you're making an investment in the neighborhood, in the community, those kind of things. And the reason why I decided to stay for this discussion is is, really, a lot of times people come in the 11th hour and they kind of stir the pot to get a little attention. We see it with the flag, we see it with different issues. I remember a wild debate years ago over a $5,000 paint job at the BOR. It's like, gosh, people we just got to paint the place. Like, this should be like something that takes 5 seconds. And so I got that sense that this was like a last minute political stunt as people whipped up the pot to say, oh, did you see? It kind of drew out a few red herrings that kind of get people up and running. Not saying that there's not validity in like questioning the return on investment, those kind of things. But anyways, one thing I do know is that, hey, if we're $250,000 is a lot of money, but it's not that much money. And the reality is, if we're going to invest and save that building and put it to 9 housing units, do something good for the community, why not? Let's not get sidetracked by this last minute political stuff that's going on online.
Yeah. I will just say that I have been firmly against Berry City money going into this project since the beginning. I just wanted to clarify. It's not like I was like stirring up anything during this conversation. Just wanted to be clear.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
But Councilor Lozon.
Move to approve the 250,000 as requested by the manager.
All right, so we do have to have you withdraw.
Withdraw what?
Because there was a motion to table.
That was
Did
withdrawn. That means the floor is
done?
open.
Okay,
So I made a
so
motion.
motion to approve. Anybody? Okay.
No, I'm just messing with you. I'm going to withdraw my motion. 'Cause you'd
Oh,
lose.
man.
You'd
Make
lose
a
it
motion
on
to lay it
I
on the
love this
table.
procedural stuff because I did it for 12 years. You'd lose it on a 3-3 vote and the council wouldn't be able to vote it again. So I'm going to withdraw that motion. We'll table it. And then when Jake is here, you can get the 4-3 vote next week. Provided
Yeah, I
get
did
the
make that
information
suggestion.
I need.
Yes, I did.
Table's good.
I made the motion, Sam has seconded it.
And there's
Okay.
a hand up.
No discussion, I don't believe.
No discussion on tabling.
Okay, well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. Thank you. All
Thanks,
right,
Jesse.
so let's talk about something that we can hopefully all agree on. The review draft of the 2023 annual town meeting warning.
And we started doing this a few years ago where I brought it in the week before it's going to be approved so that we could look at it in advance. And so this is the warning, as will come before you for approval next week. It shows that we're electing one counselor for each ward for a term of two years. It shows that Article 1 is the approval of the budget and the amount to be raised by taxes. Article 2 is for the amount for street reconstruction, sidewalk improvements, and capital improvement fund. Article 3, this was new starting last year, that we do it as a lump article. So it has the 20 organizations that had met the application deadline of January 3rd, totaling 136,601. And then it includes Article 4, which is the 3,000 for People's Health and Wellness, Article 5, which is the 10,000 for Washington County Mental Health, and Article 6, which is the 20,000, 482,000 for Berry Area Development. Those 3 items you had approved adding to the warrant last week. To the warning last week. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I've double checked the numbers with Dawn. I will triple and quadruple check them over the next week, because believe me, I always get hives thinking I'm going to raise not enough money to pay the bills. So
Make sure that decimal's in the right place.
oh my gosh, you have no idea how.
We almost did that once.
Yeah, we did. We did almost do it
We
once.
came really close to doing that.
City
Like,
budget at $25.
scarily close.
So, I share it with you. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments.
Do we have any charter changes?
Council
I thought we were
didn't
going to
wanna-
How about if I put one together?
You can't
That
now.
cleans up the charter language
You
with regard
can't,
to
you-
the.
we're
We
past.
can't, we're past that?
Yeah,
I
we're
gotta wait
past
till
the
next year?
deadlines. Yeah. Yeah, I
thought
had
we
it
were
on
gonna. I
the,
thought that was on our list of to-dos.
I had it on the council meeting agenda 4 weeks ago to see if council wanted to warn the first public hearing that would be required, and everybody said, yeah, exactly. So,
I remember. And it went right over our heads.
so,
Right over my head as well. Oh, well.
so yeah, so we missed that opportunity, so.
No worries.
All right.
So if there aren't any questions,
I've got
it'll
one
come.
for
Yep.
you.
Oh.
So I noticed that Green Mountain Transit is our largest donor or donation.
Yep.
And I'd like to kind of get some more, I don't know, backdrop as to how they're providing services to our community when they're, I don't want to say not, but we're having some issues, and they're leveling their funding from last year. So I'd like to know how, as a counselor, I can ask why it's justified that they're going to ask for the same amount of money, but have cut back on their services over the last year and have not reinstated them.
I can email you the packet of materials that they submitted with their funding request. And you can look that over, and if you've got questions for them, you can contact them. All their contact information is at, I can send it out to
But we do
everybody.
have
They
to
could
have
come
something
in.
on the next week. We have to make the decision next week
Well,
because of the
it-
statute.
Yes, and under the policy and procedures, they're on the ballot.
Okay,
So,
I wasn't trying to dismiss, I was
Yeah.
just for procedure.
but I will send around their packet of materials so that y'all can look at what we've got, what they provided.
Yeah, I would just like to kind of maybe know even what the process forward might be for next year if they don't attain services as they should for the city. And maybe we, as our taxpayers, don't want to give them $38,401. So
For
it's
this
just,
year, we're doing it, right?
no, and that's not my question, because I know at this point it's kind of late. It's that last minute. But if services aren't restored, I'd like to see the funding that we give to them for next year be cut in a way, until they can provide services to our community adequately. They've come in, they've talked to us, they've said, hey, we are dealing with a staffing shortage. Mr. Rizzuto came in tonight and made it clear again that that's not the case, that they're still having issues, things aren't fixed. As a city councilor, that's my, putting a line in the sand and saying, hey, I want to see some progress, or I'd like to see your numbers go down for next year.
Very valid.
That's council's prerogative.
That's
So,
that's
but
a
it's-
tough one, Counselor, because you run so the reason why they're on at that amount is because for a number of years they would do their petitions, and then we said, okay, look, folks have signed your petition for whatever 5 years. You've always been approved. We love you. The citizens, well, we may not love them. The citizens love them.
Right.
So we say, okay, you get your money. The only issue I'd have with council intervention is it could turn into a popularity contest.
Sure.
What if a majority of the council doesn't like somebody on somebody's board? So my thought would be, I'd have no issue with what you're saying, look, you all have to petition again. You all got to go get your 500 signatures, and maybe but you got to treat everybody on the list the same.
Sure.
And as a counselor, you could say, I wish people would vote against, and I'm not advocating this, I wish people would vote against that because they're not serving our citizens.
Right.
We could do that as counselors, but I'd be nervous. What do you think, Carol? Just makes me a little nervous to be able to say,
Yeah, I
you get
agree
less
because
this year.
Sure.
We're not going to give the citizens the opportunity to vote it.
without, there are currently three ways that organizations can get on the petition, on the ballot. They can go through our process of submitting an application by the deadline with the support materials. They can petition, as is allowed by statute. They can come ask the council, and the council can place anything it wants on the ballot. But to me, what's important is that that a process is developed and that everybody is treated as uniformly as possible. Sure. Whether that's everybody goes back to petitions, or everybody does the application process, or everybody comes and begs the council. Other communities do that, where they have a council meeting where all the organizations come in and beg. That gives me hives, because then it really does become a personality,
Right.
Process. And to me, having some kind of dispassionate approach, that dispassionate but equitable approach is a more fair way to do it.
And Ellen K?
Yeah, Ellen K. Berry City. I just have a quick question. I am a little bit lost about which organization Councilor Deering was referring to.
Green Mountain Transit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. K.
All right.
So it'll come back in its official version next week, and y'all get a chance to sign it.
It's the same thing.
Exciting.
Draft watermark.
Exactly, hopefully.
All right. So moving on to a less cantankerous conversation, right? In general.
Yeah, right.
Let's hope. So
The dedication and I think the dedication and a memorial,
Memorial
thank you,
is
whoever
100%.
suggested those. So I would make that motion, because obviously we might have a little disagreement on the photos, but I don't think there's going to be any disagreement on the dedication or the memoriam.
For those following
And-
along at home, could we?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so we're dedicating the annual report to Steve McKenzie. 12 years of service as city manager, and then decades of service to our community and still serving our community. And then, of course, we've got memoriam will be Jody Norway, who was the assistant to the city manager, and she passed away last year, sorry, while fulfilling her duties. And actually, I'll let, do you want to read the?
Sure. I'd be glad to. So for both Steve and Jody. So Steve was born and raised in Barrie and is a lifelong resident of the city. He served with distinction and honor as manager for 12 years and delivered on many fronts for our city and its residents, including the Big Dig, redevelopment of Enterprise Alley, expansion of the pool, and shepherding the local options tax. And just on a personal note, he's been a tremendous mentor and really made the transition quite easy. And so just, I think, a well-deserved dedication. And Jody passed away suddenly on June 2nd, 2022, after faithfully executing her morning routine of opening up City Hall, as she had done for 3 years as the executive assistant to the city manager. She was born in Randolph, Vermont, and was a graduate of Spalding High School. She took great pride in her role as executive assistant to the city manager, and to many, she was the voice of City Hall when they called Steve's office. And again, I met Jody on my community visit, and my recollection of her, my memory of her is just bubbly personality, but also told me to come see her, she had the best office in City Hall, is what she said. So.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry,
moved.
I didn't hear who made the motion.
Councilor Lozon did. All right, discussion?
You're gonna pick pictures.
We'll talk about the pictures next, because that's going to be contentious. That no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And now let's talk about the pictures. Councilor Wozniak?
I really like number 8. That's the one I like the most. It shows it's the one with that shows the farmer's market all bustling. It has the little Pearl Street pizza neon thing in the corner. And I just think it's a great, and it still shows the Pearl Street pedway like photo 2 does. And I think it shows like a nice bustling downtown filled with people. I think that's a nice message to send as we move out of COVID.
All right, so
No,
Councilor
no.
Wozniak is
That's
number
cover
8.
or back, or it doesn't matter?
I don't really care.
Oh, okay.
I don't care if
And what
it's
about,
covered.
you don't have a second one?
I like the second one too. I just
So
think
anything to
that-
do with aesthetics, I'm just giddy because anything to do with aesthetics, I so rarely get a choice.
Right.
I don't even get a vote, so I'm pretty thrilled to be here. I'm just gonna follow along with all of you.
Yeah, I like number 8 more than number 2 just because it's a little bit brighter and there's more like people front and center.
So it might be kind of cool to do front and back cover, a
both
daytime
of
shot
Pearl
and a
Street?
nighttime shot.
That's a good idea. So I want number 8 included. I'd like number 8 included. I don't really care if it's the front or the back. And that's my 2 cents.
We can have all of them included.
Well,
That costs money.
It does, okay. Well,
I like 2.
so, okay, so we've got 2 2s.
And one's kind of nice.
Oh, that was two.
You know what? We should probably, can we share the pictures so that people know what we're talking about?
If you give me a hot second, yes.
So, and I'll just, Acting Mayor Booton, if I can mention, there was a little contention when we were putting this together because I did notice, although I allowed it to go in the packet, photo number 4 has a Berry Town school banner in the background. So I just want to make sure council
Oh.
is aware.
Wait a minute, hold up.
That's it. That one's out.
So,
Nope, that one's gone.
just wanted,
Those are actually Berry City spies living in Berry Town.
I knew. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, if the acting mayor will indulge, is I'm just gonna show folks at home. This is photo number 1. Number 2 is a nice shot of the Pearl Street Pedway with the farmer's
That's
market
really
in
nice.
the evening.
Did we have?
Photos 3, what looks like probably the Veterans Day Parade. Photo 4 is the Veterans Day ceremony, but it has the Berry Town banner in the back, so with all due respect to our
Although,
neighbors.
that is school, right? So
True,
that's-
very
That's
true.
school, so, and we are one community when it comes to school.
And we are one municipal report. All right, continue.
laugh out loud.
My
Just wait.
friends, continuing on through the photos. Number 5, a great shot of someone from BCPD spraying the kids with a fire hose during the summer gatherings. Photo number 6, a nice dark and stormy youth triumphant with City Hall in the background, the churches. Photo number 7, I think that's another shot of Veterans Day. And photo number 8, my personal favorite, Pearl Street Pedway and the farmer's market during the day. And then photo number 9 are intrepid poll workers. So those, when we were talking about photos,
I love our poll workers, but
Yeah, that's
they're
not.
wearing masks. No, that
No.
reminds me of bad times.
All right,
No.
so. All right, isn't this gonna be
Do we have to
fun?
vote for this by photo by
Oh,
photo?
yeah, we're gonna have to vote.
Okay.
I'm gonna drag this out.
No,
So,
let's do the farmer's market, the more brightly colored farmer's market one. I like
The
that one.
daytime one.
I'll make a motion for that one. and
Second.
to go
For the
on.
I'll
cover.
let Carol and the manager decide where it gets placed. So it's moving to second.
Well, can I make a comment about that? I
Sure, you
mean,
can make a comment
I
about
think,
that.
I mean, maybe that should be on the front. I mean, it's kind of like beautiful, kind of like friendly, because that's what we
What a
want
swell
on the.
place. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm so not used to getting a choice that I don't know how to make one.
just happy to be
So
included.
I do want to say, I did put a post out on the Berry City Community fan page. And
Sorry, I'm being vocal this evening, aren't I?
I don't know what that's.
Just kidding.
Did you say you
Good.
wanted to do 7?
I got
8.
8. And I got a lot of votes for number 3, which I assume is probably the flag. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Oh, the flag, yeah.
Yeah. The only problem with that one,
we've done the flag before.
we have that and it's kind of crooked. The flag is a little crooked.
It looks
Like,
a little tired.
it looks a little tired. So even though I love the folks that supported that one, I'm not a big fan of it. I am a big fan of it. I'm just the crookedness is, and we've done it before. Okay, so we've got 8.
We got a motion.
And
We have a motion
Great.
and a second for 8.
okay, so discussion.
8 is the daytime Pearl Street Pedway Farmers Market. Okay.
All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now let's talk about the next one.
I think we should put number 2 on the back.
So which one's number 2?
That's Pearl Street.
Yeah,
that we
the
had.
night-
I agree.
the night-
Oh,
that
that's
would be
actually a
really
great idea.
nice.
What about our folks in TV land? Are you guys like gonna speak up a little bit?
Or you
Give
don't
us some thoughts? Come on now.
Are you completely disinterested?
Are you disinterested? Come on,
They're-
this is the
Okay,
best
Mr.
part.
Acting Mayor, let's, it's
This
not.
is the
Yeah.
best
No.
part. All right,
Okay, I'll make a
fine.
motion. What number is that?
2.
2. I'll make a motion for 2.
Second.
All right, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'll
All
make a
right.
motion to approve the $250,000 for.
Somebody get a second?
Make the
Everybody get a
motion take it
second?
off the table now. Now we've got to go through that process.
All right. Well,
Oh, that was
so we've
awesome.
moved that one through. With that, we are on to upcoming business, and I don't have anything for upcoming business, and it's all good, so we're not moving on.
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh,
I do.
okay.
So I was really interested in the tour of the wastewater treatment plant and the wastewater and water meeting. So, and I was looking at the University of North Carolina utility rates comparison. I was looking at Berry Town versus Berry City. So Berry Town pays a little less than Berry City for combined water and sewer. And I just like more information about how we got there and information about the existing agreement. And also, when Zeb and Brandon were speaking about what's needed, like, I don't know if that's just some more information, like, can we have more of a report about, here's how we got here, here's the agreement, here's what's what.
I'll buy you coffee.
I'll invite Jeff Blow. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It's,
Water
and
agreement.
interestingly, that I'm with you on that one. The Vermont Supreme Court has held that one municipality selling water and sewer to another municipality can sell them that water at a higher price. For example, if we said, look, Berrytown, you can buy the same water Berry citizens do, but you've got to buy it 20% higher because we have all these infrastructure costs, we'd be able to sustain that. I mean, that court case is, and as a matter of fact, it was Rutland. You probably remember, Carol. Rutland City, Rutland Town.
Yeah. Right.
They went through the same thing a number of years ago, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can charge more. But we have a weird water agreement that requires quite a notice period to renegotiate it. Like 3 years, 2 years, something like that. It's out there.
Yeah, it's a
Supposed
complicated.
to be happening.
Yeah.
But you know what? We should.
Yeah, we should.
And at least just have the,
Put it on the agenda.
before our friends in Berrytown freak out, it's just have a conversation about it.
All right, so any other?
Move to adjourn.
Oh, we got round table.
Oh,
We gotta
yeah.
go
Okay,
round
sorry.
table. Do you have anything on the future agendas? All right. So round table, I will go with Counselor Deering. That's the reason why I went. No.
So just blessed to go on the wastewater facilities tour. Sorry I had to ditch out. My wife had an emergency. But it was also nice to go to the meeting the next day with the stakeholders. Really took a couple of pages of notes, really learned a lot of information about the entire process of water, wastewater, and the treatment of the water. And really an even more deeper appreciation for the individuals that deal with the things that I don't have to see and deal with after I flush my toilet. On a second note, I had an amazing lunch with Representative Galfetti on Saturday. We got to talk about a lot of the things that are going on in the State House, and they are moving very fast. That's all I've got.
Well, I also have a lot of appreciation for those folks at the treatment plant. We are indeed lucky to have the sorts of people who work for our community at hand. That said, I was reading a combination of a column and Vermont Digger about TIF project in Burlington that's getting really pretty hard at having not done the paperwork the way it needed to be done. And I can only thank the folks here in this building who, and I'm understanding Carol has a part of it, Janet has a part of it, I'm sure other people do.
No, just the two of us.
But just for keeping impeccable books and getting through those audits and saving us a bundle of bucks.
Counselor Wozniak, were you done? I'm sorry, I assumed you were done.
I
Okay. You were done, though, right?
I'm done.
Okay.
So you were done.
You were, right? 100%?
Pass.
Ask her again. I'm done. Ask her again.
Counselor Lozon?
I'm all set.
All right, so I just love the fact that we just went through an extremely tough conversation where we kind of got our tempers flared up and we're laughing about things right afterwards. It kind of feels like the old days. With that, I also, and I don't generally bring up the podcast stuff that I do, but I do want to say thank you to the manager for coming in and presenting the budget, and then last night, the BADC coming in as well. Yeah, so I don't really have anything else, so I'm just going to end it and wish everyone a great evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Good night, all.
Done.